Hey geeks, Akshay this side, and I hope everyone is safe at this time. Things are really, pandemic is like spreading like very fast these days. So I would recommend everyone to stay safe and stay at home. That's the first thing I'll say, and that's the last thing I'll say in this webinar because I really want to reinforce this because I've seen really like scary things around me. So please, guys, take care. Anyways, let's pump up the energy a bit and I'll tell you about today's session. 10 people are live, by the way. So some highs and hellos would be appreciated, guys. Connect with me. I am always willing to, read each and every comment. I have seen one question is already there by Nakul. Nakul will try and address that at the end of the session. All right. So let me get back to the session. So today the title of the webinar is A Coder's Guide into a Recruiter's Mind. So let me tell you a bit about the guest. His name is Rishikesh sir, and he's a software developer with over 15 years of development experience. He has been actively involved in developing various systems, and his primary skills are C++, Unix, Python, and finance domain. So he's really experienced, and he has taken many interviews. So he really knows what it is, how what the mindset of the person is who recruiting. So definitely, this would be very insightful for you guys who are watching. Um, I can already see some comments. Hi Malkeet, hi Nikhil. Thank you so much, guys, for engaging and keep engaging like this. Um, Without delaying any further, I'll invite Rishikesh sir and we'll start the Q&A session. And I hope this brings some value to you guys. Hi sir, how are you?
Hey Akshay, hi, how are you? I'm good. Thank you so much.
Sir, my pleasure. So sir, few people are live and I think you feel free to greet them and we can then start the Q&A session.
Sure. So first of all, I would like
Okay.
to thank you everyone for taking the time, and I hope this will be a wonderful session. And probably at the end of the session, I would expect you would have some better takeaway from this. Yeah, and I think please take care of yourself during this pandemic situation.
Yes, sir.
So I
That's
think
like
I can
very.
probably, if yeah. So if you have to start, probably I'll just give
Yes,
brief
sir.
introduction about myself.
Yeah, yeah. Please, sir. Feel free to introduce yourself, and then we can start the Q&A.
At different companies, and so my primary skill sets, I work in the different programming languages like C, C++, Python, Unix database, and there are many. So in 15 years, I've been witness how IT industry has been changed over the during this decade, starting from your programming language, and then how the automation has taken over the industry. So probably I'll try to share my experience way in the best possible way. And of course, this is the disclaimer that I won't quote that whatever I'm going to say is 100% right, but this is definitely the best of my knowledge, and I hope this will be useful to you guys.
Yes, sir. Definitely, definitely.
So please feel free if you want to ask any question. I will try my level best to answer them.
Okay. Okay, sir. So, sir, my first question to you is like, how much role does academic score plays? Let's start with this question.
Actually, are you there?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir? Is it going fine? Some
I
issue
can
with
hear
the
you. Looks
internet,
like there was some
internet
sure,
issue.
sure,
Yeah.
there was some problem with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. That's fine. So, sir, my first question to you is like, how much role does academic score play?
Okay, I think that's a good question. So let me probably answer this question with scenario. Say for example, I have a company and I have one position, and I went for the recruitment of for this position. And let's say I finalize the two guys, and say both of them are equally good, and I have only one position to hire them. So then I think probably it will drill down to how much their academic performance would be. So that
Makes sense.
sense, I would definitely say academic performance it does matter. So I won't say if someone has doesn't have good academic performance, he cannot do anything in probably in his life or in the software industry. That is not true. Having
Okay.
said this, so let's say a guy who's having a good academic performance and along with the good technical skills. So for me, the way I will look toward that guy would be like consistency. So I would treat it as a, like consistency would be the key. So the guy with the good academic performance and good technical skills, that definitely means that the guy is definitely consistent. He has a good academic record. So to score a good academic record, one definitely have a good discipline, dedication, and I think that does show in your academic. However, again, back to the same point, learning is a continuous process. So I think one can start at any time in his life, and so if someone has a good technical skills, and say for example he doesn't have a good academic, but later he probably realized the importance of the education and he started at the later point of his life, I think that is absolutely okay. But having said this, we should still consider academic to have a good key point of the candidate, and that would definitely display his dedication, his sincerity, and consistent performance.
Okay. Okay, sir. Sir, and what are some attributes which you think tops the list of the recruiter's checklist, which you see in a person which you're interviewing, who you're interviewing? Hello?
I think there's some network issue. Akshay, looks like voice is breaking.
Yeah, yeah. Is it fine now?
Can you hear me, Ashok?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. I can hear you. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Wait, let me connect again, sir. I'll try again. Wait.
Yeah, I think it's looks like looks like there's some slack coming.
So is it fine now?
Yeah, it's much
Is it
better
fine
now. Much
now?
better. Could you please repeat your
Much
question?
better now? Okay.
Yeah, it's much better now.
Yes, yes, yes. My question is, yeah. So my question is that which attributes do you think tops the list of the recruiter's checklist, which you look in a person which who you are interviewing? That's
Okay,
the question.
okay. So probably, yeah. So I think I would list down. So if I had to say interview some guy, so there are some key points probably which I would definitely look into candidate. So my first probably skill would be a technical skills, because nowadays it's really important
Okay.
to have a good technical skills. So I think that is the first thing probably I would look into a candidate. So when I'm saying technical skills, what I would look probably is if it is a basic concepts are clear or not. So for the
Okay.
software engineer, it's really important to have his basic concept clear, and I think this will come with the practice. So if you want to become a software engineer, I think the key for this is writing good code, and so I think when I'm interview candidate,
So
probably
voice
may
is
have
breaking.
a my voice is breaking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure,
We
is
are
it
having.
issue on my side?
Uh, Sir, I don't think I have internet issue because I have checked it many times. Are you sure everything's fine at your end in terms of internet? Like, you sure? Now is fine. Now it's fine. Like completely fine. But it
Okay,
breaks
okay.
sometime. Okay, okay, sir. Please continue. See, again, it's getting stuck now. Everyone who's watching us, I really sorry for the technical issue. Like it happens. Issue is on source. So I think there might be a case that the internet issue is on your side. If you can reconnect it once, or you can check it once,
I just
then
did
it'll be.
Akshay. I just did. I think I connected to my mobile data now. I think
Oh
should be
yeah,
fine now.
now definitely it'll work better because mobile data like definitely works better in this case. I have like tested it myself. Okay,
Okay,
okay. So
so
please continue. Yeah. So we were talking about the attributes,
right,
which you think, yeah.
right. So the first thing probably which I said is definitely a candidate should have a good technical skill. The second point probably which I would look at should to have, I mean, it's necessary to have is a confidence. So sometime it may possible that if I ask something to him or her, he might have a wrong answer. But then there should be some explanation he or she should have for every answer they provides. So that probably would give me a good impression about them. They have something, even if the answer is wrong, but they have some explanation behind it. So I think that is more important to have. I mean, of course, confident. And then the next thing probably which I would look is a good communication skill. So communication skill doesn't mean just speaking a hi-fi English, but at least he or she should be able to convey what he or they meant, right? So when they wanted to explain something, it should be in the simple English format, should be fine, but they should be able to convey their thoughts. And then, of course, it would be followed by like problem solving skill, and then your logical stuff. I think that will be come all along the way. And I think the most important thing for me to look in the candidate would be his attitude. So
Okay.
generally, it says, there's a saying, you cannot wake up a person who is you can wake up a person who is sleeping, but you cannot wake up a person, or it's difficult to wake up a person who pretend to sleep. So if someone is saying, I don't know this, definitely I can pitch it and help that out. But if someone is saying, I don't want to do it, then it's very difficult for anyone to help. So I think the most important thing to have in anyone, I mean, in candidate is his attitude. So definitely having the candidate with the good attitude is really important for any company or any industry.
Okay. Okay, sir. So,
Yeah.
uh, I want to ask, like, what is the importance of projects and internship in the resume? Like, according to you, you have a vast experience. How much do you give priority to those people who have actually these experiences in their resume?
Okay. I think being an engineer, I know how I have completed my projects, and how did I look at how did I looked at the project that time, and
Yeah.
unfortunately that is even to today also. So the project they are being taken, they are being given just as a formalities, and probably the student just complete it as a formality. So for me,
Mm,
probably if someone has done some project, and probably in one or two questions, it is really easy for anyone to judge how much his or her contribution in the project is. So definitely having a good project, so if someone has done a good project, that is really essential, that is really important. But then it depends. Say for example, uh, during my engineering I have learned some concept. It might be array or some data structures, and if my project, even if it is just a 20 piece of line of codes, but that actually shows me that actually if that is depicting me what I have learned so far, and this is the actual implementation, and if you guys are able to prove it, then probably it does make sense to me. So it may not be no fancy project like robotic vehicle, or that is so many fancy stuff around, but I think a simple project depicting all the basic concept and its implementation, I would definitely prefer such candidates. That way probably you have a basic concept, and once you implement that into a project, your basics would be really really good. So I
okay.
would I would definitely ask each and everyone to have a to to work on the good engineering projects, and it may not be fancy stuff. It can be as simple as what they have learned during their academics.
Okay. Okay. Got your point, sir. And what about internship?
Yeah, of course. I think it's again on the same. Unfortunately, that is true today. Internship
Uh,
again. Many colleges are probably they are forcing student, and they are just doing for the sake of get it done. I would definitely encourage everyone to do to to do the internship and learn as many as things possible, right? And if they are getting a good exposure out of it, it's definitely a plus point. It's definitely going to be a plus point for them. So I would encourage each and everyone to have to do more and more internship, so that they get more and more practical knowledge, and they gain more out of it.
okay. Okay, sir. Um, So according to you, what makes a good resume? Like, okay, projects, internship, we have talked. Anything else? Like, what do you think is a good resume?
I think it's pretty much so. For example, if I had to market myself, I definitely put something which I know. So if so, my resume is probably it shows what I have done, what I knows very well. So it can be a simple if probably say if you have not done too many fancy things during your graduation, but if it is something which probably you know and you are 100% sure of, you can just put it up. For example, it can be your uh, probably a good resume. I would say it will just depict your uh, so as a software engineer, probably it should have mentioned your technical skill, your interest, and of course about your projects you have done. I think there's a simple template it should just follow. But then as a candidate, probably you should be able to explain each and everything.
Okay,
That should
okay.
make sense to you. I mean, you should have explanation for everything, whatever you put into a resume.
So basically,
Yeah.
whatever you write in resume, if it's relevant for the job profile, you should know how to, you should know it in and out. Basically, is what you're saying, sir. Right?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's okay. So let's say, for example, if I know C++ or say I know my secondary language would be Python, for example,
Hmm.
and I would put my primary skills as a C++ and secondary skill as a Python.
Hmm.
But let's say I come across some openings which says I want a candidate with the good, say Python skills. It's absolutely
Uh-huh.
okay. You put Python on the top and followed by C++ next. Having said
Hmm.
this, you should have a good explanation for it because I wouldn't know what you have done. What I am going to see is how much knowledge do you have. So if you could prove
Okay.
me, probably then it just makes sense for me.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
So
I think so. Bottom line probably would be just make it very simple and make sure you have an answer for each and everything whatever you're going to put into your resume.
okay. Sir, which programming language should one learn if he's starting, for example, or maybe uh, like in current times, any language you think one must know? You know. So, what are your views on that? Like,
Okay, I don't think so. I mean, for an engineering fresh graduate, I would say there is something like must know. I would say it's
okay,
good to know probably. So I think in computer science or IT, C, C++, these are maybe a Java. Definitely, these are the basic languages they have been taught.
yes,
And
yes.
then you have Python and Java. So I think what is more important rather than so these are all different programming languages that I would say as a different syntax. So what is more important for an candidate as a candidate would be basic stuff. So if I have a good understanding on basics of any language, say for example, uh, array in C++. So even if you consider a Java, what is going to change probably would be its implementation, its syntax. The basic concept would not going to be changed. So what is
Hmm.
more important is you understand the basics of this any programming language, and then probably it generally happens. If there is a experience, there's a guy with a 10 plus experience in C++, and after 10 plus years he has to work on the Java because they say there is a requirement on the Java in the company and you have to work on it. So it's absolutely okay if your basics are clear. I think it's very easy for you to jump on any programming language.
Okay. So you should focus
But
more on fundamentals and basics and maybe sir algos, data structures, algos.
yeah. But I know, I think probably Python definitely would be a better choice because it's very easy to understand. And during your short period of time, like we just have 4 years in your academic, your graduation time. So I think during that 4 years, you can go long way because if you start with the Python, I think you can quickly reach to the advanced stage. Uh, so what I mean is, for example, if you start with the C++, you have a pointer, then you have templates. So these are like, it's very difficult to digest. But Python has a
Okay.
very compact, it's very easy to understand. So I
Oh,
would suggest, I think you can start with the Python probably. But again, I think having good, basics of any language is really essential.
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I
how?
think, yes,
Yeah.
sorry, Akshay. I think one more probably I would suggest is Unix. So it happens
You,
to me generally that it happens to me. While I was doing my graduation, I did my graduation in BE in electronics, and when I finished my graduation, I hardly knew anything about a Unix. But then later, when I joined the software industry, I realized almost 60-70% of say probably the software which are being hosted, they are on the Linux platform. So I think Unix probably would be a good exposure, and it's very easy. So I think one should definitely try Unix.
But so generally, like what I've seen is that in companies, like we have taken many interview experiences in past 2 to 2.5 months. So people generally learn Java, C++. This so Unix. Is there scope for Unix also? Like say you are based in Singapore, maybe over there or in India also. You are saying like this is valid.
Actually, there is a scope. There is a scope for everything. You pick up
Okay.
any one language, probably some. Say for example, C language. So
Hmm.
if you know you are expert in C++, you definitely have a scope. I think the problem with the IT, I mean, probably I won't say in India, but the problem now is it's hardly very difficult to find a good engineers. So I know maybe 10% of C++, 10% of the other programming language,
Hmm.
or maybe so I'm not good at any language probably. So I would suggest if you pick up Unix, Unix itself is an ocean. So you pick up any one language, become expert, and
Okay.
then I think that would be good.
All right, sir. All right. Makes sense. Okay. So how can I become a good developer? Okay, I am into marketing everything, but I'm just asking, like, if I want to start, for example, then
Hmm.
how to do that? And if I'm already into it, like the person who is watching us, who is into it, how he can hone his skills?
Okay. Okay. I think it's almost been 50 years. I was told thing. I even don't think I'm a good developer because there is a continuous learning. So every
Hmm.
day, probably there are new technologies are coming in, the new ways are being developed. So I think the key factor probably a good software engineer would be a continuous learning. And generally, I think what we shouldn't do is probably I'll just cover a few points which we shouldn't do. So
Definitely.
if you say, maybe you can just generally we decide this, I will take out 3 months. I'll prepare this, say, data structure, few points, and I will write down few codes, and then I'll be a good software engineer. I think it doesn't work that way. So it is really important for a software developer is to have a continuous learning, and the only important thing what he or she should do is just write the code. I think just by writing the code, doing more and more practice, I think he or she can be a good developer. There are probably a few suggestions, maybe. So as a developer, I think it's always good to use IDE. So for example, if I want to practice C++, I would use a C Lion or say Microsoft Visual Studio or say Eclipse. So I think we should use any IDE because that way uh, developer speed and its thinking, and then also this IDE provides a suggestions. So I think it's very important that developer use an IDE even if you write down a simple software program. Uh, I think second probably suggestions would be you should always have some conventions. So generally, if you ask any student to write down some program, they will use a variable name like I or J or say
Yeah,
X or Y.
I
So I
remember.
think for any reason, probably if you are writing, even if it's a piece of line of code, it should be a very readable format. For example, if I don't know anything about it, just by looking at your code and piece of lines, your flow, I should be able to make it out. What do you exactly mean? Just by looking at the function signature, this function is taking this argument, and uh, say for example, if I had to give you the real life example,
Hmm.
if you want to switch on the fan, you will just press the button up, and if you want to make it off, you will just off the button. We don't know what happens behind the scene, and exactly that is what I mean to say when you write a good program.
Hmm.
Uh, so your function should tell me, okay, it is taking these parameters, and this is what it is doing, and I don't actually care what's happening behind the scene. So that we can definitely learn by debugging. So what I mean is you should have some conventions when you say variable names or file names or class names. So follow some conventions. And I think, yeah, as I said, every day probably you can pick up one or two problems. So Geek4Geeks site has so many problem site. So you can pick up any problem set, one or two problem per day, and think about it logically. How do you implement it? What I think first thing you can think out what is the solution, how I
Hmm.
can solve the problem, and next thing probably then you can jump onto the implementation. One mistake generally a developer does it the moment they read the code. Okay, they read the problem statement, they just jump onto the writing the code. I would suggest don't do it. First, understand the problem, read it two times, three times, think about it. How can you solve the problem? Uh, Probably try to break that problem into a small pieces, and then you go for the implementation. And that
Okay.
way, probably you could be easily solve that problem. And then we can have a test cases, auto test cases. Probably that is advanced concept.
All
So I
right.
think the bottom line probably would be a continuous learning. Read more and more books and practice. These are the
All
important factors.
all right, sir. So, sir, how do you judge the behavior of the candidate? Next question.
Okay. Uh, Probably I would just ask him a few questions like what would be his or her reaction onto the specific situation. Uh, okay, so generally it happens that because we are a human being and we tend to make a mistakes. So, for example, if I ask a candidate, you are working on a critical project and you did a mistake, or how are you going to react to such situation? So, few scenario based questions probably would definitely depict me, what his or her character would be, right? Yeah, I think few. So I would just ask probably a few scenarios, and I
Hmm.
think based on it, probably I should be able to make out, what would be the behavior of one candidate. So I think how we should respond probably to it. It's the most optimal way. Like you can say always a positive things. Think probably take out positive in every situations. So probably in this situation, if you did something wrong, it doesn't. I mean, it does matter, but we understand like we are a human being and we does everyone does a mistakes. But then in such situation, of course, probably we should be honest and try to focus on the problem and see how we can solve the problem. That would be more important. So I think in every situation, probably think positively and take best out of it probably in any situation.
Okay. Okay, sir. And sir, you mentioned about soft skills also, like communication skills, right? So, what is the importance of soft skills exactly? How much does it stand in terms of like अगर software नहीं हुआ तो problem ही है मतलब उस type से like what importance does it have?
Okay, I think I've seen probably throughout my life candidates speaking a good English. I wouldn't say it is not important. Definitely, it does make
It's
important
important,
in some cases. Yeah,
hmm,
but then what is more important for a software engineer is to write the code.
right?
So if I see a candidate probably who is writing a code, and I can quickly make it out if someone is writing a good code. And I think over the period of time, probably I know probably I started my I think all our generation started English in fifth standard, right? And over the time, probably you learn English, and I think it's okay. So what is more important for the software engineer is to definitely have good technical skills,
Uh,
and at least he should be able to convey what he or she trying to say. I think that should be pretty much for it.
okay, okay, sir. Sir, importance of extracurricular activities and how does it impact your personality in front of a recruiter? So, last question.
Okay. Yeah, I think it does matter, right? Because the sport means a discipline, right? So if I mean, so let's say, right, if for example, if if I had to interview two guys, one being a good sport person and other being say not good sports person, but that would be a secondary stuff probably. And in personal life, definitely it does matter, right? Because that makes you more disciplined.
Hmm.
Uh, so I wouldn't say because for me the primary skill will be a technical stuff, but then it's definitely a good to have for your say your day-to-day life or your good health. So if your health is good, probably you can be a good developer, right?
That is true. That is true.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
And it is true in like every area. I feel like this thing.
Yeah,
It
sure,
adds to every area of life. So okay,
sure.
okay. So these were some questions that we wanted to ask you. And sir, thank you so much. Oh, wrong timing. I think his net got. Guys, wait for a minute. He'll definitely join back. We are. Acha. Okay, he's here. So all good now.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you hear
I'm
me?
so sorry. Yeah, yeah, I can
No,
hear
no.
you.
That's
Sorry for
it.
that.
Happens. It happens. It happens. Like it happens a lot. Sometimes it happens. That's okay. And anyways, I'm saying, sir, these are the questions which we wanted to ask you, but
Sure.
now, sir, thank you so much for answering them. So we can pick some two questions from the comments and talk about them. Uh,
Okay.
so you can go through the comments. Whichever question you feel is apt for you to talk, you let me know. I'll pin it. I'll put it in the banner.
I think thank you everyone for putting your queries. Let me go through some of the comments. Okay, I think Nikhil is asking. Sorry, do you want me to pin this?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think Nikhil Tiwari.
I've done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Akshay. So I think Nikhil is asking, sir, I'm currently learning machine learning. Can I get a good job even if I'm not good with computer programming in product-based company? Yeah, I think my answer to it would be you uh, definitely you can get a good job. You so I think the key point probably would be whatever you are doing a machine learning or you are doing any programming language. If you are doing it thoroughly, if you understand the concept, definitely I don't think so. There's any reason for you not to get a job. So my suggestion to you would be whatever you are doing, just do it thoroughly and make sure that you understand the concepts.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I
So I
think
think
yeah, and practice. Yeah, and do
I think
more
that
and more practice, write more and more code.
yeah. So Nikhil, you can get a good job, is what sir is saying. You just need to hustle hard and do what is required. That sir already told you. So next question.
Yeah, I think next question is Abhishek Sagar. He is
Okay.
writing. What he's saying is writing a neat, clean, good comes automatically once you start working. Working in the industry, students should be at least bother
I
about this art as a
asked the
student.
question. He's just stating what his opinion. I don't think it's a question.
Okay, no, I think it's fine. So
Okay.
probably it won't come with the day one. So generally, what happens in the company is there is a peer-to-peer code review. So when I write the code,
Hmm.
generally I probably have opinion whatever I am writing is 100% correct. But when it is being reviewed by someone, he looked at the same solution, same problem with a different approach, and he might have a different solution, which probably would be much better, right? So then that peer-to-peer code reviews, it helped me or as a any developer probably, to think about, okay, this problem can have multiple solutions. So I think, yeah, that is absolutely true. It does come with the practice. I won't say with the start working in the industry, but I think if you just keep on writing more and more code, if you read the books, and I think that practice probably would make definitely, make you a good developer, and you should be able to write a good, neat, clean code.
Okay. Okay.
I hope
So
that answer your question, Abhishek.
Abhishek, I hope it answers really. So there's one more question I feel that we should talk about. So Satvik is asking that. So he's in third year right now. He's saying that companies started
Mhm.
visiting his campus and he's in third year and he's feeling like he's lacking very much in skills. So what should he do?
Okay, I think first of all, Satvik, I would say you are not alone. This happens to everyone, who is in third year or final year. I think
Third year.
probably you have realized it too. Yeah, probably you have realized it too early. I have realized this when I
Okay.
finished my graduation. So I think so. It never late to start anything. So start slow. Start with the small, simple one. Probably, as I said, pick up one problem, solve it, think about how you can solve the problem. It can be anything like say sorting of an array in C, C++, Python, or whichever programming language you pick up. It doesn't matter. But why? What I would suggest is pick up one or two problem, think about it, and write the code. And I think with the which inch by inch, probably every day your effort, it will take you to somewhere like wherever you wanted to go. So I think continuous learning, write the code, and read more and more books. I think that is the key. There is no shortcut, I think.
There's no shortcut, definitely. All right. All right, sir. Sir, thank you so much for this session, for giving your taking out time from your valuable schedule and answer some questions. I'm sure that few people, and obviously this would be like streamed on YouTube and Facebook, so it'll be there. I know many people would extract value from this. So
Sure.
thanks again, sir, for joining, and it was our pleasure, Geeks pleasure to have you on board with us for this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abhishek, for giving me opportunity. And I
Sir,
think my experience.
नाम गलत बोल दिया आपने अक्षय.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's
So I'm
okay.
so sorry, actually.
It's okay.
Yeah,
वो
thank you
इस
so much for your.
That's okay. Sir.
No, I was just in flow. Actually, I was just reading some of the comments, and I
That's okay.
just went into flow.
Abhishek
Yeah,
Samuel is there now. So
yeah. I just went into a flow.
sir,
Yeah. So what I was saying is, sure.
last question Divya is asking, and she's like iterating many times. So let's pick up that last question. One. Uh, in Corona time, most of students are not having the experience because they are all having virtual classes. So can we get a job? That's a good question, I think.
Yeah, I think probably you can get a good job. Of course, there's no one is there to stop you in getting a good job or being successful in your life. I think probably you, as I said, right, if you want to work in IT industry, you should have a you should be able to write down the code because that is the bottom line. If you are a developer, that means you should be able to write the code. And if you want to write the code, the practice is the key again. I think it drilled down to the same point. Write
So, but
down
I
more and
think
more
the
code.
point with Divya saying that she's saying that students are not having the experience because they are all having virtual classes. So what does that actually mean? Like virtual.
I think yeah, virtual classes probably what she mean. I'm not sure if I understand that correctly.
Divya, can you
So
clarify that in the comments if possible, please? Because we are confused by what exactly you mean. Okay, that part we understand that Corona and everything, and so as you rightly mentioned, but this part I couldn't. Okay, sir, let's wait if she explains in another 5-10 seconds. Otherwise, we'll have to move on.
so I think while she's writing this elaboration, I would say so. Before this COVID pandemic situation, right? All the developers they were in office, and now we are everyone since last 1 year we are working from home. And I'm bet to say like probably developers are more productive when they are working from home.
Okay.
So what I would say, Divya, is if I understand your question is if developer is working from home, probably he or she would be more productive.
Yeah, but she's saying just we are just having theory classes. We are not having library classes. We're just having theory classes, is what she's saying. I think,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine. I think like if there's a job out there, if there's an opening and you have the skills, necessary skills and experience, I think you can crack it, right? So I mean, feels like a no-brainer.
No, I think what she mean is
Okay.
only theory classes. I know how boring it is because say for example, if I had to explain you what is a say what is the array in the board, it's really going to be boring. So I think the approach probably should be is you write down a program, you write down a couple of more program, you write more and more code, and then you somewhere you face the problem, and when you actually debug it, then you understand okay what is array inside is. Okay, so I think the best way probably would be unfortunately that probably is not happening that no student they have not been taught practical stuff. It's just the theory has been taught. But I think what probably we can do Divya is just write down more and more code. I
Okay.
think Geeks Forgive that website is wonderful because there is a explanation for every problem and then we go back to the concept.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think you should just refer it.
Okay. Okay. The way I hope that provides some insight to your question. Sir, thank you so much again. That's it. And I'll just have a chit chat with audience for a minute. Just greet them by.
Sure,
You can,
sure.
greet them by, and uh, I'll 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 say that this session was great for me. Like I enjoyed it.
Okay, I hope so. I hope so that I was able to answer each of your question to best of my knowledge. And yeah, I think I wish everyone all the best. Be safe. That is more important. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Akshay.
Say yes, sir. So you also stay safe and take care.
So,
Okay, sir. Bye
thank
bye.
you, guys. Bye.
Welcome, Divya. Thanks for such great comments and. Uh, all right, so that was it for today. So I hope this session brings some brought some clarity to you guys. Tomorrow, Sunday, 7 p.m., we are having again a live mock interview session. So do tune in to our channel, and I'll see you there tomorrow. Okay. Bye guys. Keep learning, keep growing. I know it's pandemic, but having said that, you are at home, so you can, hustle up and you can learn new things and practice a lot at your home, sitting in your bed, your table, you know what I mean, in your zone. So use that and stay at home, stay safe. Think about your parents. Just stay safe, man. Please. Bye bye. Take care.